Hello, Johan.
Hello, Emerson.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm excellent. So tell me your story, Johan, and
Hmm.
what got you here. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Johan.
Johan. Okay.
Fine either way. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just a word anyway.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, how did I get here?
Yeah.
I guess it's been going on for 2.5 years,
Hmm.
my seeking, and it basically started from relationship that didn't work, and I did ayahuasca once, and after that, it was like no holding me back.
Yeah.
I quit my job. I had a job for like 7 years working within IT. Quit
Okay.
my job. Went to Asia, went to Thailand,
Oh,
Bali,
nice.
tried everything, that was spiritual.
Yeah.
Just like it was like a new world opening,
Yeah.
uh, trying everything, everything from hypnosis to different kind of yoga and living with monks,
Yeah.
just going deep. And came back home, um, went to another long retreat in Sweden,
Hmm.
southern retreat, trying to find my footing. A lot of because now I didn't really have a job anymore, so still figuring out what I'm gonna do. So eventually, I went to Peru to live with shamans
Oh,
for
nice.
about a yeah, and came back seeking continued during the spring and summer. I did all kinds of retreats. I took courses to do different kinds of healing. And I came back, I think, in end of July this year to my apartment, and my nervous system was just fried.
Oh,
And
no.
I noticed that all these practices that I had acquired, nothing was working. I was still suffering.
Yeah.
So I had to give it all up, basically, um, and just sit with whatever was appearing because I couldn't do anything else. It was
Yeah.
like it was just bringing me to be in the couch, sitting in the couch,
Yeah.
and allowing that to transpire. Um, so that was like a recognition through experience that there's nothing externally, let's say,
Yeah.
that would help me. That is me, basically, right?
Yeah.
Or that is this, and so that happened, and I have this yoga and meditation practice up here as well. And I was taught I just didn't felt like being a teacher either because I resonated with what you said when you were a teacher. When I'm not, I'm not, I can't preach
Yeah.
in a sense. Um, so if I'm doing classes, good. If I'm not doing classes, still good. I don't care that much. And then yeah, so non-duality I found in Thailand.
Hmm. Whereabouts in
And
Thailand? Did you go to Koh Phangan?
no, Chiang Mai,
Chiang Mai. Okay.
fell in love. Well, totally
Yeah.
in love.
Yeah.
Like it was like
Yeah.
home, like something with the energy there. It was like
Hmm.
met a guy who has a YouTube account doing non-dual meditations and satsangs, and he gave me the book Who Am I?
Hmm.
And something awoke
Hmm.
within, and then gone through teachers like Muji, Rupert Spira, Wild Satsang,
Hmm.
and lately Angelo
Hmm.
and you.
Hmm.
And Angelo also resonated a lot. And
Hmm.
I saw your interview with Angelo,
Yeah.
which I thought was incredible.
We have very similar stories, don't we?
Yeah, it was lovely. And something that was sticking with me was when you said I was over for a walk and was listening, and you said something about like there's nothing there's nothing I can give you because if I could, I would already have given it to you.
Yeah.
And tears just started rolling. down my
Yeah.
eyes. I felt it.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, and
Yeah.
then funny thing, when I saw your video, it came up on YouTube, and I was just like, no, who is this guy? Because
Yeah.
I was just fast forwarding it.
Yeah.
So I missed the whole, head popping thing
Yeah.
because I thought it would be in the end. So I was like, what is this? No, I don't. So I stopped watching. And then another time I was just, okay, let me give this a chance.
Yeah.
And then okay, I get it. I see what's happening and how direct it is. And it's, to me, it's the most direct approach, and I kind of use that in my everyday, let's say, practice. Um,
Yeah.
what's in between.
Yeah,
What's in,
because it's quite simple, right? Because
yeah,
when you go to the in between, it's a trick basically.
yeah,
When you go to the in between, there's really no in between because there's never been an opposite.
right,
But we can't seem to say what's not opposite because the moment that we utter a word, it's an opposite of something.
right.
So the
Yes.
in between is a trick. It's a trickster basically, right? Um, and to see the clarity without language, the
Mm,
directness without an opposite, basically, right? And it's just so profound but simple.
yeah.
It's so clear. And the moment that we try to speak about it, it muddies it, right? So it's almost like I got out of the way because kind of like what you said, if you just hear me talk and everything, it might resonate or not. It's not about resonating or not resonating.
Mm,
It has nothing to do with me. Kind of like if I could give something, I would have given it. Kind of like what I said, right? I always say this, you don't have to believe in what I say. It's in what I can't say.
yeah.
So I was doing this event, with a whole bunch of people. I'm sure you've heard the story. And and then the moment that I arrived at this beautiful hotel, right, there was this chair. There was this chair, like, a pedestal basically. And there was 100 people, and a lot of them were there because of the generosity of a person that get them out of communities that made them suffer, basically.
Mm,
So I was like, okay, I better get them out of the seeking, right? Because this is their only chance. So
yeah.
that's when the in between cleared up. I'm like, okay, you know what? I said, I'll still do some talks, but let's focus on the one-on-ones. Let's just do one-on-ones, and I'll do one-on-one with everybody. And then he just kept on refining and refining and refining. Then midway through the talk, I noticed that some people were missing a good chunk of them. And I was like, oh, maybe they don't like this approach. And then at the end, they said, oh, sorry, Emerson, if we went, we just went sightseeing because it was the seeking is over.
Oh,
That's
wow.
how simple it is. Yeah.
Way.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's here, right? It's so simple
Mm,
that if we take away the veils of the word, what's left?
nothing.
Even if we take away the word nothing, what's behind it? Yeah.
Just silence.
Yeah. And that's what was happening to me because I wanted to get to this place all the time. So I was doing meditation, I was doing Ashtanga, yoga, I was doing the primary and the secondary series. And I was just, you know, believe that I could attain, I could get to this point all the time. But me going back and forth, I was missing missing the point that there's no back and forth. There's no going and leaving. It's not about acceptance or rejection because those are just structures. Who's going to accept? Who's going to reject? Right?
Hmm.
Yeah. And in that directness, you know what I'm saying? It's just so, but this is so free and open, right? That if you teach classes, please go ahead and use this. You know what I'm saying? I don't have any ownership of this. It's just something that came about. And I was like, oh, thank goodness I can finally show people what I'm trying to talk about without going into, verbal gymnastics about what this is. It's just so simple. I do love poetry. I do love words, but it doesn't really do much rather than make you think that you have to understand something or you have to get something or you're not getting something. So what's between getting and not getting? It's often overlooked.
Yeah. Yeah, overlooked. Yeah.
Yeah. And then people can get stuck on the idea that this is this or that. People call it consciousness, awareness, nothing, whatever. But they don't know that they just went to a different belief system. There's nothing wrong with belief system, but it's a fabrication.
Mm.
And then you know what? In my journey of seeking, right? Oh my goodness, I would just jump from one thing to another. And like what you did.
Yeah.
I did the ayahuasca as well. I did all of that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
look how simple it is, right?
Yeah. 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 And it's here always.
Yeah. So when did this click for you that there's nothing to click?
I guess it's been like glimpses of it,
Yeah.
definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And then separation, and then clearness,
Mm-hmm.
and then separation. I feel, yeah, it's almost like it's a process of something, but
Yeah, it's a never ending unfolding. I've always said
right.
this, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Don't think it's a landing because the moment it lands, then it
yeah.
will create an opposite, basically.
Right,
Yeah. The moment that you think that you got it, you lost it.
right.
Yeah.
I think the first time it kind of came clear, I was talking to one around us. I don't want to call it disciples,
Yeah. Yeah.
but someone that was with him.
Mm-hmm.
He also has a channel. I haven't looked at his channel for a long time now. But he said he was doing the same long Kriya Yoga retreat that we have in Sweden
Oh yeah, yeah.
that I did. And so it resonated, or there was something that he talked about. And he said, so I came back there again to do more, because I was feeling so good from it.
Yeah.
And while I was in there, I realized that I was already here. So I left.
Yeah.
And that made me see, it made me kind of go back to see that even when I was there, I was there.
Yeah.
Even now I'm going to meditate, stern, but
Yeah.
it looks quite funny because it's already here,
Yeah.
right?
It's almost like the you know what, and again, same much respect and love to meditation. I was a meditation teacher for 10 years,
Hmm.
but it's a reinforcement that there's something missing.
And it's so quiet, like it's so, as you usually say, it's like a buzz, like
Yeah, like an infinite
a
buzz.
hum.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like a ringing of the ear, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. And that's what's unchanging.
What did you say? That's unchanging, or that is
Yeah,
changing?
that's what's always unchanging, right? It
Yes,
never
yeah,
changes. It's always this
yeah,
almost like a flat line. It's almost like a combination of noise and silence.
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Mm.
It's like this, there's a permanence to it. I don't know. I don't know how to even to describe it, right? Because but yeah, that's what's evident usually. It's like when there's no more doubt, that's what seems to be noticed all the time, right? It's almost like a remembering, like an echo of the infinite.
Yeah, because it's no surprise.
There's no surprise. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
That's
I
my
have,
dog snoring. If you hear.
I didn't hear.
Yeah. Okay.
I love dogs, so
Yeah, me too.
I want to
And
get a dog.
yeah, you should. It's so great. Like I, my dog is always just like on my side here, and then we go for long adventures of walks, and
Mm,
um, it's freezing here in Canada right now, but it's beautiful, right? It's like we go to this beautiful path, this off leash, trek that's like miles and miles that you can walk for 2 hours, and it's just beautiful.
wow.
While you're walking through it, you pass a cemetery. You know, saying there's this beautiful foliage and everything. So it's just aliveness and death simultaneous. It's
Because you
just,
live in Toronto, right?
yeah, yeah. Have you been here before?
I've been to London. I have a friend who lives in London.
Ontario.
Yeah, Ontario. It's like 2 hours or
Okay,
something.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Come
landed in.
visit.
I would love to. I would
Yeah,
love to.
yeah, yeah.
And I've been to Vancouver as well.
Oh, Vancouver's great.
Yeah, so I just signed up for your event.
Oh,
Um,
you did.
I
Oh,
did,
that's
yeah.
right. That's right. Yeah, you're coming to Vancouver then.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
nice. That'll be
yeah,
really great. Yeah.
yeah.
It's a beautiful, you know what? It's the last retreat, basically, right? It's like
Right.
it's
Love that
just
name.
yeah.
Awesome.
Because what I noticed is what I did, I only did one event last year, and it was with those people, you know what I'm saying? And it was the last retreat for them. And then the guy that organized it goes, why did you just call it last retreat? Because it's that's what is genuine about what happened, right? Because I had a lot of people that were coming from leaving cults and communities and that kind of
Oh,
stuff. So I
hmm.
set up a guy to assist them just in case, they need a counseling or whatever after that. And no one contacted that guy, which is this guy, John. And then I messaged everybody. I'm like, hey, you know what? There's resources for you guys just in case you need any support. And then I got this most beautiful letters one by one saying that stopped my sinking.
Mm.
I'm back with my family and rebuilding my life. It's not, it's just beautiful, right? It's like waking up from the delusions. They've cut ties with their whatever community that they were in. They got one person basically said, I got a job at McDonald's and I've never been this happy in my entire life.
Wow.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So that's the inspiration for that basically, right?
Mm.
Because the also inspiration is there was this beautiful lady that went to this teacher's 20 years. Every year she would go to this 5-day event, and I asked her, when was the last time you had a vacation? She goes, oh no, I just went to the retreats. I'm like, oh no. So she spent all her money, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
um
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
because that
this
was for me as well. I was because something within me was like something wanted to go back to Thailand, go back to do all this traveling,
yeah,
but something brought me back to my hometown, like moving back, being
yeah.
with my family. My mom has dementia.
Oh, okay.
I'm now
We have
starting
very
a
similar stories.
right. Yeah,
My mom has a brain tumor. It's not dementia, but it's very similar, right? So
yeah. And it's like it's a blessing and it's painful at the same time. It's,
yeah.
I can see that for me, I can see her getting brighter
Hmm.
and lighter
Yeah,
and more present.
yeah,
And when she's suffering, I can see it's grasping. It's the last
yeah.
grasping. And when we are together now, I just sit with her, we just sit and watch, the
That's
views
what I
of
do with my mom. That's what I do with my mom. She watches um the Crown.
right.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And
Netflix.
now, and now I'm opening my own micro bakery.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So like
That's
something
awesome.
that I've been wanting to do, but
That's amazing.
now it's
What's a micro
happening.
bakery?
It's a one-man show basically. So
Oh,
think of it as,
wow.
I have like, yeah, I don't know if you do square meters, but I have like 35 square meters. So it's
Oh,
like a
yeah.
room that's being built for me
Oh,
in this
nice.
old carpenter building.
Oh, wow.
And right next to me is a micro coffee roastery.
Oh, perfect.
So it's, yeah,
Perfect. I love eating, as you probably heard in my videos,
me
right? If
too.
there's
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
So what kind of a specialty in bakery do you do? Is it more kind of like breads, cakes, that kind of desserts?
It's sourdough bread.
Oh, I love sourdough.
Sourdough bread.
Yeah.
Because that was also interesting because during COVID,
Yeah.
I had a lot of spare time.
Yeah.
So I started baking when I was 11, pretty much, but never got into bread.
Yeah.
But then I was just like, "Oh, I'm just gonna try sourdough bread," and I got obsessed. Like, but it was
Awesome.
such a beautiful thing because it was that thing, when you were a kid and the day before Christmas, you're excited. That was me every day, finding this because it was just such a heartfelt passion. It was, yeah,
Yeah.
no,
And that's what I mean with the in-betweenness, right? Because that's where, you know what I'm saying? That in the story anyway, that's where it thrives, right? In
right,
between thinking and not thinking, because you're not worrying about this or that. You're doing something out of love, right?
yes,
If you hear people that have, you know, like for me right now, my passion is this. And it
right,
shows, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like there's just a love for it, you know what I'm saying? Just expressing. But I also play piano and music at night, and
mm,
all of those things that I thought that I had to leave because of spirituality or non-duality was what's making me happy actually. I thought that I could not play DJ music anymore because I'm supposed to listen to vegan music, right? Something that's more sitar and flute based. You know, talking about, right? So when I
mm,
first played
mm,
drum and bass again, I'm like, oh, what? How did I leave this? Right? This is
right,
also it, right? So and
yeah, yeah.
and
I
then I
was, go ahead.
then I'll go ahead.
Yeah, it was, the same. It was like I can never listen to metal again. This
I
is
love metal.
low vibrational music. Can't listen to
Yeah.
this.
When there was this clarity,
But,
when I went to Spotify, guess what I played right away? I played Black that Norwegian metal, and I was like, oh, so good.
right, right. I mean, how can this be dependent on whatever music you play?
Yeah. And if you look at music, it comes from that void, that spaciousness
Right.
and everything, and
Mm,
whatever it is, right? So it's just, yeah, and it's just so good to be back into authenticity and
yeah.
the mundane things, right? Because
Mm.
before, you know what, I would even there was a time that I was putting like a veil over my TV because I was afraid, I didn't watch it, but I was afraid that the vibrations of the TV.
TV and the microwave, watch
That's
out.
right. Yeah.
And the Wi-Fi and
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I was so paranoid about everything, right? So I was
yeah.
I was not enlightened. I was neurotically maintaining enlightenment.
Oh, that's so relatable.
Yeah, right. It was like,
Yeah,
and
I
then I
don't have a
just,
TV.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I just kept on eating, kind of like my eating became more almost like I think my brother said, "You're eating like a squirrel now. What are you doing?" Because I became vegetarian, vegan, raw vegan, and it was eating fruits that fell off a tree and everything, and then I just didn't know that it was just becoming an eating disorder,
Right.
not because of physical appearance, but spiritual appearance.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Mm. I came home from that long retreat in Sweden and I met one of my best friends who's my cousin.
Mhm.
He saw me, he's like, "You look like a drug addict." His first comment when I came because I had lost so much weight.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just, no, it's spiritual, Matt.
Yeah. It's a spiritual
Wow.
eating disorder, basically. Right?
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, and that's what I did was just purifying, purifying, as if there was something. It's so funny, right? Because you think that you got enlightened, and then here you are maintaining it, but purifying, purifying, purifying. You have to be sattvic, 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 sattvic. Watching my thoughts, watching my thing. It was hell.
Yeah, it's hell.
And
Yeah.
then when you're a spiritual teacher under the spotlight,
Mm. Right.
the eyeballs of so many people, right?
Mm.
And you have to embody perfection. And
How many years was that?
10 years.
Wow.
It was probably the longest prison, that I've ever
So had to for
encountered.
you.
Uh, yeah, and then when it was finally over, it was disastrous. It was almost kind of like navigating to the world again. And I
It's
had to
like, yeah,
destroy that
like,
character, right? Kind of like what you're
mhm.
doing, right? It was just like you
Oh,
had to start all over again because you're just like,
exactly.
and
Exactly.
then
I don't know anything now. I
yeah,
can't, you know, all the things that I gathered, from spirituality, they don't mean anything now. It's like
yeah,
that on square one.
That's what it is. And
Yeah.
when it was almost like, wait a second, did I go through 10 years of that? What the hell? Um, and just like you, I was a bag of nerves. Like I was just, my fight or flight response was on a high alert for anything
Yeah.
because, and, and then I had panic attacks and I had anxiety and I had depression and everything. So it's almost like, it's like I went through a cult that I created in my mind
Mm.
and I was the cult leader.
Wow. And you think you're the opposite.
And you think that you're the opposite. Yeah.
Such a distortion.
It's such a distortion. Yeah. But even the opposite is just, if you go in between, what's between this and that? Then there's a parasympathetic nerve. You're like, oh my goodness, I've been reacting to the ghosts in my mind,
Yes.
the delusions of my beliefs,
Right.
this identity that does not even exist, basically. It's all
So,
fabricated.
so what happened after that? What was the unfolding after that? Totally like nervous
Well,
break.
but when I thought I lost it, I went into a panic, right?
Right.
Because you know what, there was a lot of things that happened. So I started going to many different teachers and everything, and like begging them, please, please, I was enlightened before. Can I have it back again?
Yeah.
And they don't know what to do. You know what I'm saying? They would
Right.
tell me a whole bunch of stuff, but I'm like, and then I would ask someone, I'm like, how long have you been here in this community? And they're like, 7 years, 10 years. I'm like, okay, this is not it. Out, basically. It was just a whole bunch of systems, thought systems.
And
Nothing wrong
when did
with
it
it.
kind of change?
Well,
When did it kind
when
of
it changed, I just went kind of like with everything with addiction, with, when you're addicted to the thoughts and addicted to the beliefs, I went cold turkey in seeking
yeah.
just for I think 3 weeks and everything. And then I've told this story many times. I was DJing one day. I was about to have a panic attack and I was just DJing. And then all of a sudden, when you go directly into what you think is an opposite, when you're trying to go to the next, when you just sober up from it, then all of a sudden, as simple as, oh my goodness, it was just the biggest kind of like realization that there's nothing to realize because the one that's looking for the realization is a fabrication. So I could not find Emerson anymore. I'm like, where's Emerson? What the hell? Where's this belief coming from? And all the beliefs started crumbling down because it's that house of cards, right? If you take Emerson away, then there's no belief, there's no thoughts, there's no words, there's no meaning, there's no whatever. And it
Right.
was just it was just striking clarity, right? I could not even speak about it. So I was like, speechless for a whole month, basically. Well, and then I integrated back into the world. There was just a lot of humility. There was a lot of, because I've lost everything, because I suffered so much. Because you know what? Once you think that you had it, then to you, that's the most it's like the ultimate um attainment ever. But it's not an attainment.
How can you attain what's here? Always.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I went into kind of like almost like a neurotic psychosis, looking for something that's always here. I'm like, where? It's here. I'm like, tell me where.
Mm,
So I went to spent a lot of my money going back and forth to many teachers, kind of like hoping that there's an energetic transmission that would happen
mm,
to somehow wake me up and everything. And they go back into, like, I was a teacher before. And then I started realizing, like, do I even really want that back? Do I
mm.
really want the adulations and, the pedestal, that kind of thing? Or is that just a maintenance of the character's egoic needs for attention?
Yeah.
And it was sobering to see that where the desire is coming from is just a desire that doesn't exist. Desire will just keep on desiring. Even when you have everything that you wanted, you want no desire, which is
Yeah.
still a desire.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it just keeps on going in a loop.
Hmm.
So when it started all clearing up, I'm like, oh my goodness, what the hell? So it's almost like everything was falling apart, but in a welcoming way. There's nothing that's being held anymore. So
then
it's
there
in,
must have been such a like stabilization of the nervous system at
oh
that
my goodness,
point
yeah,
too, right?
yeah. It was so sobering, right? It was just my nervous system, you know what I'm saying? It was just like I just went into a complete relaxed state, basically, right? So here I was like walking around in this house, was I was supposed to have a retreat for a whole month, walking around looking at my reflection and jumping. I'm like, what's that? Because it's just everything is whole, you know what I'm saying? So that
Yeah.
reflection was like, what's that? I'm like, oh, okay. I lost myself basically. I couldn't find it. And it's almost like refragmenting all of these stories again. I didn't even remember this story for quite a while. My computer broke down and I was able to get, like the notes that you have in your MacBook that you thought you lost because you lost a password. And it all came back. I'm like, oh, that's what I wrote down what was happening during that time, like a daily journal, basically. Because
Okay.
I was because I it was just very, how do I say it? Um
Can you say?
like it was so clear, but it was also very fleeting and very ephemeral. The thoughts would come and go, you know what I'm saying? And then it's the next day again, the next day again. And then 30 days later, you know what I'm saying? I had to, basically, someone basically came and got me and they're like, I could not speak anymore. And they're like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like,
But did you how did you communicate at all?
I did after the 30 days, basically. Yeah. I even forgot about the internet. I was just wrote on the note on the computer, basically, right?
And
That
if you
kept
would communicate to people, would you write down and show them?
no,
Or
no, no, no,
no, it was like you didn't communicate.
no, not for 30 days. Yeah. I was supposed
Because
to do
that is also, if you would do that, it's also,
yeah.
it's also, it's not being silent.
No, no. It was just basically typing a whole bunch and not just and then I think it was just really short little things. And then the day would disappear again, right? It's almost like I'm trying to it's almost like you're disappearing and you're kind of like, okay, this is what's happening. You know what I'm saying? It's like the disappearance. I had a book that I was written. I called it the disappearance, basically. So it's slowly disappearing, right? Until I think if the notes were only for like 10 days and then the rest was like silence.
Hmm. Wow.
So the thoughts did not, come anymore. You know what I'm saying? It was just like just this. And then there was just simplicity with it. There was no announcement that, hey, I got super enlightened. No, it was just I lost everything. That's what it felt like. It was like a loss.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was
That's,
like an ego death, people will call it, right? It was just, and there was just this, it was very humbling. It was very humbling. There was no announcement. There was no, I called my friend, one of my best friend, and basically said, hey, this is what happened. This, I could not find myself. I think I talked for 2 hours. And then a month later, we talked again. He goes, were you high on mushrooms, Emerson?
yeah, I heard that.
Yeah. What did you? I'm like, oh, I'm like that. He didn't even understand what I was talking about. Right. So I could not articulate it really well at that time because it was just so, it's almost like I had a stroke. When people have a stroke, they have to learn to learn the language again and everything. But at that time, I was like doing cartwheels, you know what I'm saying? Just, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was just like a little kid, basically, right? Because,
And that's what it is. Like that's what it is, right? That
yeah, I was laughing, full belly laugh, walking around naked, you know what I'm saying? And just, someone that lost their mind, basically, right? And I was having this belly laugh, so basically, right? And just, and that carried through. Like, there was moments that after that, like I would look at a fridge and I'll be laughing at the fridge. And, my parents, my poor parents that didn't won't know how this is when I came back here to Ontario. Is everything okay? And I'm like, yeah. And then one time I was looking at my parents, they look like cartoon characters that, just everything just became animated and nonsensical. And, so it was a never ending unfolding. So,
wow.
and I could not even speak. I didn't even know how to. I always said this in the beginning of my speaking. I didn't want to speak about this because there was so much clarity that it felt like I'm muddying the waters. And initially, I did actually in my
Mm.
first year for speaking because it became very absolutist. There's no me here. There's nothing being everything. And it's almost like that radical non-duality kind of thing,
Yeah.
which I resonated with. But that's not it, because when I realized that that became a belief system, like, no, 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 that's not what I'm trying to talk about, basically. Um, and then I started diminishing my talks, basically, because you know what, there was someone was saying that, hey, you should release a video every day just talking about this. And I made like maybe 20 videos. I was about to release it. And then I did the one-on-ones, and then this clicked. I'm like, okay, I can't release those videos anymore.
Mm.
It doesn't make sense, right?
Mm.
To release those videos when there's an easier, accessible way of doing this, just doing
Right.
the one-on-ones. Yeah. And people are not, some people are catching on to it. You know what I'm saying? Some people are beginning to, it's affecting a lot of people. I get a lot of emails about this, saying that, what the hell? I was not paying attention to you. Then one of your videos popped up one day. And then, yeah, someone actually had a similar experience with me, that they were like, yeah, Emerson, I just went into a month's silence and I just could not function in a beautiful way. You know what I'm saying? Because I wanted to basically went to the woods, you know what I'm saying, and played some of my videos. And then boom, silence, basically.
But
But it doesn't have to be that way too. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? It could be, it appears differently for everybody.
Is there a
That's why
is there a ripening, or is that just
it's
another belief?
always, that's just another thing. There's an unfolding,
Yeah.
always an unfolding. It never really lands, right? So, um,
Yeah.
and then in every day, even for me, right? There's always just, it just never ends, right? So
Yeah.
there is this person that I was talking to yesterday. We didn't say anything. He just bursted into laughter and he goes, thank you. This is like 10 minutes of silence. And he goes, don't say anything. Don't say anything. And then he wrote me this big letter and he basically said, there's no need for words.
Was that after a one to one, or was it just
At
an?
10 minutes of one-on-one where we both said nothing. We just kind of like, and he goes, and he just started laughing. And I started laughing and I'm like, just really like little kids, basic. And we started making faces.
Oh wow.
And he goes, okay, bye. It was so comical. Right? And I forgot to record. I wish that would have been the best
Oh,
recording ever, right? The best one.
whatever. Yeah.
And then he wrote me this long letter and he goes, thank you so much, Emerson. That's it, basically. You know what? That's it for me. And he goes, what I've always suspected is really evident now, that this can't really be expressed in words. And then, and then that playfulness, that the interaction of playfulness is what this is, basically. We forget that this is for entertainment purposes only.
Right.
Yeah. Then we have our ideas of what this should be. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like, then we think of a man in a robe. You know what I'm saying? We think of someone that is, but we're overlooking the simplicity of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt that as well. Like I'm now I'm out here playing this character of Johan,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just doing these things,
Yeah.
and nothing really matters. Like nothing matters. I'm just here to play.
Yeah. That's what it is. So what
Yeah.
did you do before? What kind of yoga did you teach before, Johan?
Kundalini yoga.
Was it according to Yoga Bhajan, Kundalini?
No, there were a couple that had kind of
Kriya?
no. It was like it was through that, but the people who was teaching, they kind of left the organization after the whole
Oh, okay.
yeah
I
the whole.
took my 3HO Kundalini yoga teacher training back in
Okay,
2009, I
kidding.
think. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I
Yeah, but that was the all same thing because I was doing it. I was loving it, and it was putting me in this, blissful states and a
yeah.
lot of energy. But eventually, it kind of burned out my nervous system. It was too much.
That's what happened to me too. And then but I
Yeah,
was already suspicious of it because I
yeah.
was, there's always a rebel character here, you know what I'm saying, that wants to just question everything. I'm like, why do we have to look at Yogi Bhajan's face?
Mm.
And they're like, oh, Emerson, it's the guru practice and everything. And I'm like, okay,
Oh, you did have to
yeah,
look at this.
yeah,
Oh.
yeah. In our teacher training anyway, it's a part of our teacher training.
Hierarchy,
Yeah,
hierarchy. You
yeah,
talked about before,
that's
right?
right. Yeah. And so I didn't question that, but there was something. And then I started researching. And someone that I talked to told me about the abuse stuff before it's all out now in the open, right? So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So when that time, that was like more than 20 years ago. Oh my goodness, right? 2000. No, no, no.
No, like 15,
2009. How long was that? Like
15.
15,
Yeah,
14 years. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, I did my teacher training there, and when I graduated, when you were supposed to select you have to pay 3HO for your spiritual name, something with that. You'll
really.
end up with, yeah. So
You
you
choose it
pay
yourself?
like 50. I did not. You know what? The thing that was weird about it is like after a what do you call that? I did my teacher training, and then we did that white tantric. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
that I think it was
yeah,
like 2 days or 3 days, right? So
yeah.
I felt really, really great. And but really I was craving from some croissants, right? So I went to Costco and then got some croissants and I was not quite vegan at that time. So I was also crazy craving some prosciutto, you know.
Right, right,
So,
yeah, right.
and
That's
then and then when I was in Costco, I saw a couple of people that were from the white tantric thing, and their name was Shiva and Nirvana. I'm like, Shiva, Nirvana, and they were all dressed in white. You know what I'm saying? Here I am, kind of like hiding my croissant that's non-vegan. You know what I'm saying? And hiding some of the meat that I bought. And then I was
yeah.
looking that they also had a chicken. You know what I'm saying? In their hand, they were trying to hide it. So I saw the fakery of it. You know what I'm saying?
It's
It's like,
funny.
yeah.
It's funny.
And their names were Shiva and Nirvana, right? So it's kind of funny. They were all
Mm.
dressed in white with turban and everything. And I was looking the same. And I'm like, and I looked around in Costco. I'm like, we look like a cult here, don't we? You know what I'm saying?
The whole dressing up is
The whole
also,
dressing thing, yeah.
yeah,
And then for quite a while, I was wearing nothing but white and beige to increase my auric field and everything, right? So
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do the ego eradicator every morning.
Ego eradicator, breath of fire. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I
Oh,
would.
oh.
What was that meditation where you sit on your toes for a long time? Is that the ego eradicator?
No, the ego eradicator is like when you hold your arms like
Oh,
this and
that's
hold
right.
your
Yeah,
thumb,
yeah,
this
yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The
And
toe
then
breaker.
also, yeah.
Ong namo gaga. No,
Om
I
Namo
Gurudev
Gurudev Namo.
Name. Yeah, yeah. But you know what?
Yeah.
A friend of mine came here from a good friend of mine came here that loves Nadam Kaur, right? So I went to see her, in concert here in Toronto. It was good. It was great. I don't
I
have
saw
any
it
more. You saw her too?
this
Yeah,
year, yeah, in
this
Stockholm.
year. She looks
Yeah,
so happy now.
yeah,
She
yep.
looks so happy, like something got released in her somehow. She opened up about what happened and everything, right? So um
These that have this angel frequency
she does. She does. She's
perform.
great.
Yeah,
And her
yeah,
voice, oh my goodness, right? It's like,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's some of my favorite music is from the Kundalini,
yeah,
music
yeah,
genre,
yeah,
there's
yeah. And also death metal, right? So
of course, it's the potential of existence. It's
that's
everything. Everything is possible.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was beautiful. I was beautiful. So yeah, so I'm not, because when I first got out of the spiritual and scene and everything, I became allergic to everything spiritual because but
Makes
now
sense.
there's an openness to it. You know what I'm saying? It's beautiful
Right.
too. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all is it. It's all
It's all,
it's
yeah, it's
all, yeah.
all. And it's funny, right? Because right now, you know what, I live by myself, and if you look at my fridge, it's nothing but salads now. I'm back into that, not because of spiritual thing, but I just love that eating something fresh every day, right? It's so good.
Yeah.
So good, yeah.
I uh I have an obsession for kefir.
Oh, I love kefir. Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Like I've had it for like 2 years, almost
Yeah.
every day, I think.
Do you take it plain or
I eat it with like granola and like
oh yeah.
nuts and some honey and
Oh,
yeah,
I'm
I
I'm
have
gonna buy
my
some
own
kefir. I love kefir too.
it's so good. But
Yeah.
it's crazy expensive in North America.
It is. It is. It's
It's
like
like $10
$10.
for
Yeah.
a liter.
Yeah.
And
How
here
much
it's
is
like
it in?
$2 here.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
You're in
No,
Sweden, right?
even less. Yeah. I'm in Sweden. So
Yeah.
I don't I mean, it doesn't make sense because it's just 1 liter of milk with some culture, and it costs $10.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know. And yeah, it's weird, right? But yeah, it's so expensive here in Canada. It's like ten
Yeah,
dollars
I
for a
know.
liter,
I,
right?
I
So
I saw that, like, going to the grocery. I mean, it's probably twice as expensive as in Sweden, just going to get
oh
groceries.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, everything is so expensive here now. Like especially you've been to Vancouver, right? Oh my goodness.
yeah,
Vancouver.
yeah, it's expensive.
Where in Vancouver did you go?
I don't know.
You don't know. Okay.
I mean, like north, it was like a suburban town or a suburban place.
North Burnaby,
No,
Kelowna. Is it an island?
no, it's not an island.
Okay.
Yeah, I
North
don't know.
Vancouver.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
It's beautiful
yeah.
there too.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love Vancouver, where I went hiking in the mountains.
That's what's so beautiful about it, right? Because during kind of like, like a January month right now, you can go into, snowshoeing, then go to the beach the
Oh,
next day.
oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but the sea doesn't freeze, right? Does it?
It doesn't. It doesn't. So you just
No.
you just have your, you have like we used to go and just do like marshmallows and some barbecues, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
And then the next, like in a couple of hours, probably go snowshoeing. And then yeah, it's just beautiful. There's just so many things nature-wise to do. Hiking, the
yeah.
rainforest. Did you go to Stanley Park?
Stanley Park, that's in the city?
That's in the city, yeah. So I
I
used to
think
live
so.
near Stanley Park, so I would take my dog to the rainforest every day. So it's a beautiful walk.
All right. Yeah, we
Yeah.
kind of walked around the whole, it's like a, what do you call, peninsula almost.
Yeah, yeah, it's a
Well, so
peninsula.
we
Yeah.
walked around it and went to like it's like some markets almost on the other side. And then you can take the boat over. And we took the boat over back.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I love Vancouver.
beautiful. Yeah. Well, you're gonna be back there in a few months, right? So
Yeah.
it's good. I love Vancouver. I love Victoria too. Have you been to Victoria?
No.
So I have another event in Victoria, but it got full right away, so I did not put it on the thing.
Oh,
So yeah,
really? Yeah, I felt like I need to hurry up to get my place. Honestly, I was just a bit.
yeah, it's filling up. It's filling up, right? So,
Yeah,
so it's and I
that's
don't
good.
want to do more. You know what I'm saying? It's just like
Yeah, yeah,
it's really just a sincere way of ending seeking, right?
yeah,
Because it's not necessary anymore. So it's an exhaustion basically of all of that preconceived notions of what this is, and just having joy about it. It's like being alive again, doing what you love again, your passion, right? And all of that self-limiting and falsified belief systems is just basically an unhoarding of it. I
right.
did this a long time. I did a 5-day thing. It's a seeker exhaustion thing, and if you look at it, it's everything. It's almost like we walk the opposite direction
Yeah,
the moment
yeah.
that we went to
I
school.
saw the video today that you posted.
Yeah,
I thought that was it was great how you said that, how you clarified that.
yeah,
Walking.
yeah, yeah. It's just like running away from what It's like we're petrified to see the absence of us.
Yeah, we just have to relax back.
Yeah, it's almost like we fear this, right? We fear this uncertainty. We fear this unknowingness and everything. But that's just another thought.
Yeah,
So if we take away all the thoughts, what's there? We're here. If you enable any feelings at this moment, what's left?
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
it's
Simple, right?
it's just that. It's just labeling that creates the resistance to it.
It is, yeah. And then the labeling creates the definitions. It creates the narrative. It creates
It creates the me.
identification.
Creates the me.
Yeah. It's if you look at it, it's like the language is the creator.
Yeah,
But if you take away the creator,
yeah. There's just it's it's trippy. It's just
it's
like
trippy. Yeah, like what are you looking at without words? If you can't use words, what are you looking at?
Yeah, it's like 2D or like yeah,
Yeah,
what is it? I
yeah.
don't know.
I don't know too. So we are
It's almost
united in
like
the
you can feel it,
yeah,
right? I feel like
yeah,
when you open up, you can. It's like
yeah,
you're letting it come in, or yeah, I don't know.
yeah. For example, it's like mine is like a bookend, right? But
Yeah,
there's this infiniteness, and then you take away the bookends,
right.
the mind, the character, the me is basically beginnings and endings, right? So opposites.
Yeah,
It's like ones and zeros in a computer program. So if you take away the ones and zeros, there's just this dot 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 ad infinitum.
yeah. And what's in between, and not in between?
Mhm. Yeah.
It's the same.
Yeah,
It's always the same. Like
it's always the same. Yeah, but in that sameness, there's just this. It's the same that is always.
because again, you can just say what's in between same, the same, and not the same.
That's
So
right. Yeah.
you're not getting anywhere.
No. And what's beautiful about this, it's not a landing, right? So it just keeps on expanding. So it's like one day I'm like, just busting into a bar, I'm saying dancing sober, so people are like, what are you on? I'm like, I don't know. I'm sober
I
right
love
now.
that. I love that because you don't know. It's
I
on
don't know.
like it's pure honesty. It's like
Yeah.
pure authenticity. It's just like
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
This is just happening.
Yeah. And they're like, or there was this guy, and I've talked about this in a meeting, and lovely guy, you know what I'm saying? But he was so triggered with what was happening because I went to a friend's house and we started doing the one-on-ones. I'm like, I don't want to do the normal Q&A basically, right? Let's just go directly at it because the Q&A is pointless because it will just create that I know and you don't know.
Yeah.
Let's try to, saying let's dissolve that divide, right? So I was
Yeah.
doing, and then there was people that was having a directness basically. And then when it came to this guy, basically because he's so invested in his knowledge about the I am, so he asked me, what are you? Who are you? And I'm like, I don't know. And he goes, and then he got so triggered. He goes, you're supposed to say the I am.
Oh,
Yeah. I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm being honest. I have no idea.
yeah. Wanting to label this.
Because the moment you call it the I am, then that's just another landing.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I did that, the whole I am thing. And you know what? It's either a fantastical, grandiose idea of something that we can't talk about, and then we call it the I am or whatever. Or, we go into the opposite of it, call it nothing. So it's between the absolute and the relative. It's the
Mm,
same.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can see the silence. Like I can feel why you want to be silent. Silent.
Yeah.
Because it's sobering.
It is. That's what it is. It's like I can come up with a whole bunch of ideas about this, but it's just all talk.
Yeah, it takes you a little bit from it,
Yeah.
even if you're pointing
Hmm.
towards it.
Yeah.
It doesn't need any pointing.
No. It's a pointer to end all the pointings, right? So just after that, then
Yeah, what is it to say?
mhm. Then it's good because it goes back into normal stories about like your bakery and that kind of stuff, right? So you're not stuck in this idea of what it should be. what it shouldn't be, right? So
And your energy is invested there instead.
yeah, yeah, totally, right? So so
Yeah.
when are you opening up this macro bakery?
So the micro bakery is opening on the 1st of February, or I get my like my room, my
Your
facility.
office? Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, my
nice.
office. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's so cool because it's they're carpenters, so and they had a lot of space, so they're like, how do you want it? So I could
Also, you
just
have a
tell
lot of
them,
space.
yeah. So they
Yeah.
just build it in to my liking, to my specs, basically.
Oh, wow.
But they're putting all the electricity, everything. They're building the sewer. They're doing everything that I couldn't do myself. So yeah, it feels absurd that it's
It's
happening.
beautiful. Yeah, it's
It's like it's
beautiful.
actually, yeah.
And there's passion in it, right? It's like
Oh yeah,
rather than aimlessly going around the world and trying to figure out what to do, and
yes.
then there's something that seemingly pulls you back into the simplicity of things.
I knew all the time.
Yeah.
Since I was a kid. This is
Yeah.
where was my passion as a kid. It's pretty evident.
Yeah. For me, my passion as a kid, my mom was telling me was that I love art. I love, music. I like dancing. I like poetry. And I
Yeah.
completely forgot about the poetry part because my
Mm,
my dad wanted me to become, in the sciences basically, right? Or, don't do any art basically. And I'm the eldest son in an Asian family, right? So
right,
then when I
right.
started doing this, because I know I can't really talk about this, so I did poetry in my talks basically, right? So and when my mom started listening to it, and she's like, "This is who you are," and it brought me to tears. I'm like, "Oh my goodness." Right? I now I remember, right? And the music and just being an artist, you know what I'm saying? And creating this, I love like the little things that I do, like the little YouTube can like thumbnails. I know they're not, it always changes because there's always an excitement. I'm like, oh, I'm inspired by mid-century art right now. So I'm kind of doing something like that, right? So yeah, so there is this flow, you know what I'm saying? So it doesn't
Yeah,
become stagnant. So it doesn't matter if the person I'm talking to 4 hours later is the same energy as the person I talked to earlier this morning,
right.
because there's just this,
It's just this.
yeah, there's just this, there's not taking any seriously of what I'm doing, right? So
Mm.
there's
Did you
no,
also, as a kid, I remember going to school, I was always thinking about food. Like,
I
what I'm
love food
gonna
as a
eat,
kid
what I'm
too.
gonna
Yeah, yeah,
eat, when I'm coming home,
yeah,
what I'm gonna
yeah,
make. I was,
yeah,
I remember even like going to golf tournaments.
yeah.
Like
Oh,
I was like in the middle of the tournament, or like I could feel the taste of like cheese doodles, and I couldn't stop thinking about cheese doodles. Just
yeah. And that's what I mean. It's just a return to that simplicity, to that
like,
innocence, what this is, right? And it's like, if there's such a thing as an enlightened life and everything is just being authentically what you are and were always, a
yeah,
perfection, a masterpiece, basically.
yeah.
But I have another session.
Oh, yeah.
Johan,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much, man. So good to see you. Message me
Yeah,
anytime,
you too, brother.
and and